Hello, this is Sunil with Global Women's Sports Radio. I'm happy to be speaking this morning with Ali Nick, the head coach of NJIT Women's Soccer. Coach Nick, again, thank you so much for the opportunity, to speak with you again, this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I believe entering your sixth season, as the head coach of NJIT Women's Soccer, Coach Nick, it said, from where you started back in 2016 to see where the program is today. And I think 2 years removed, said from, first postseason, said appearance, when you guys were in the ASUN conference. I had to ask you, heading into the 2021 season, this is a experienced team. I think there are 16 upperclassmen on this team. Can you just talk about, and plus you have a scrimmage on Saturday and then the season opener is a week away. So it's approaching very fast. I had to get your take on, how you feel about this year's team.
Yeah, yes, we're in the thick of preseason right now. So everything's rolling right now. We're really fortunate to have 4 of last year's seniors decide to stay to take their COVID year, which I'm happy for them because last year obviously presented a lot of challenges outside of soccer. So I'm glad that we can have a preseason again. But on top of that experience from those key players, we have 5 seniors who have a lot of experience, and from their class when they came in, that's when we we made the ASUN tournament back-to-back years. So they've kind of brought that competitive nature and that drive to win that kind of propelled our program, what we've been building through the years to take that next step. So they have that experience, and then even coming in with the players underneath, the juniors have definitely stepped up. A lot of them have been significant minute players for us as well. So I think that experience alone has prepared us this preseason of where we need to be starting from. The team came in really fit. So now we can focus on how we want to play, get the freshmen acclimated, and which is crazy that it's the sophomores' first preseason also because of last year. So they're running through everything also for the first time. So the team's quickly jumped on board. So we're excited for Saturday's scrimmage.
I mean, as you talked about, alluded to, Coach Nick, is the challenges, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic. I had to ask you about that because last year was the first year in the America East, conference for you guys. I mean, I don't think it was a true, indication. I mean, with all the craziness going on that, to have a normal season, but, hoping, said this season, again, presents that normalcy. But can you talk about that first year in the America East, conference?
Yeah. Yeah, just like you mentioned, to touch on first, I think it was a very tough transition, the timing of it, obviously, because of COVID, the restrictions. I mean, we were limited, things were taken away, rightfully so. That makes our team special, like locker room access. Adding on top of that as well, I had a baby in March, so I wasn't around. So that even added challenges. So when conference play started, I was fortunately for my family, unfortunately for the team, not able to be present during the conference play. So I think making that switch, it's very competitive. I think we kind of felt like, okay, we can come in where we were in the middle of the table from the ASUN and be in the middle of the table in the America East. But I think rightfully so, it humbled us. I think that's what last year was of, hey, because we made the ASUN tournament back-to-back years in the semifinal doesn't mean it's going to continue to carry over. We figured out our style within that conference. And now we got to identify and prove ourselves again. So I think that's why our team's hungrier than ever, because we took it for granted, to be honest with you, I think a little bit last season. But the America East has great competition in teams. You look at the top of the table, and even the teams that finish at the bottom of the table are still very, very competitive. Any given day, any team can win. So I think that's why we have to come in with a different mentality big time.
Yeah. I had to ask you, those 2 years back to back that you made, said the ASUN, said tournament, and the fact that the first postseason, appearance, said in NJI history. I mean, that had to really feel good, not only personally for you, Coach Nick, the players, and then, the school overall, as well as the athletic department. Can you just talk about that? And then the fact that, there are players that were able to achieve honors, on and off the field, as well.
Yeah, it was a great run and feeling, like you said. I think why it was the biggest feeling and pride was because of all the alumni from when I started in 2016, just their belief in the program, and what the culture of what we were trying to build. They bought in right away. All those, especially the seniors, that it was their last year, but they wanted it. And it started not just from those years that we won. It was before that of building that mindset, getting the players in that can help us get there. So it was definitely rewarding, I think, for the players to get that satisfaction of, look at, yes, all this work that we're doing is building off and getting beneficial for us. So I think that was really important. And just seeing, obviously, the way we did it too in the last year in 2019 of that comeback against Liberty as well, it definitely gave us belief that, hey, we can play with anybody, and coming back from that. So that was big for us as a program, but also as a school. I think that a lot of the teams definitely are completely blowing up right now in the sense of taking that next step. I mean, we say it's like a sibling rivalry here. Look at our men's soccer team. When then that same year they won the conference championship in the ASUN. You see what basketballs, even women's basketball this past year with their young players, what baseball did. So it's fun. And then even the little sports, fencing, and what they're growing to be. So it's definitely exciting right now. And I think the athletes are thriving off of that. And that's what we want our team, that competitive nature that we all want to be doing well. We all want to be succeeding.
Yeah. I mean, I know it takes a whole team, a village, I said to build a successful program, but during those years, 2017, 18, a couple of players I wanted to ask you about, Fiona Wright and I think Ariana Gerber. Can you talk about them? They meant a lot, again, to the team's, winning ways, during those years, Coach Nick.
Yeah, I can't say enough about those two players. Ariana Gerber first. That kid was probably one of our best leaders, and one of the best players that will ever go through this program. How she was on and off the field. She got players working around her. She was a great kid too. And I think that's what a lot of people take for granted, that it's not just what they do on the field, but she encompassed everything, and she had a tough run. There was setbacks that she has had, but she's overcome them. And I think a lot of it, her senior year, is when we made the tournament for the first time. And a lot of the team got behind her and the rest of the seniors of where they were going in the direction. And then you have Fiona Wright. I mean, she was a goal scorer, right? It's hard to come by those. Yeah. She was a very special player. And very special competitor. I think she brought a lot of that on the field and off the field. She wanted to win. Unfortunately, she decided she's staying in Canada. Okay. So that's why too. But just even what she did in a short 2 years is phenomenal for our program. And she left her mark within us too.
No, it's great. I want to ask you that first season that you took over the program. I said the year before. I mean, I think the team was 2-14. But then to register 6 wins in your first season. I think the highest said win total in 6 years in the program. I had to ask you. It was a daunting task, but just how you were able to again string together. Said just an absolutely terrific season. Especially 2016, Coach Nick.
It was a lot of work from our coaching staff, my assistants, Chris and Mary, and the players, so I'm not going to say it was easy. Yeah. We knew we were pleasantly surprised of how we started that season out, because we knew it was going to take years to build. It wasn't going to be overnight that we could make that switch. Yeah. But like I mentioned before, even from the players buying in right away, they weren't satisfied with their record before. And I think that was why we were fortunate of taking it over. And why, when going through the interviewing process, I saw the potential. Meeting with a lot of the players, they weren't happy with where they were. They know they needed to do more. So it was that mindset of them putting in the work, instructing them of, hey, this is how we're going to get there if this is what you want. Yeah. But then we just got ourselves organized. A big thing we still say, no matter what team you're ever facing here, or any sport, you're going to face a team where on paper they have better players than you, right? But it's how you work together as a team that's going to make you succeed. And we take a lot of pride in that as a team. On paper, it doesn't mean anything. On paper, we might be better than teams, but that's why sometimes sport of soccer can be challenging in a good way and a bad way. Is you have a lot more, unlike other sports where the underdogs can win. I think, like I said, we take a lot of pride in that underdog mentality of our team succeeding. We have to be organized defensively. So that's our number one priority. And then we build from there. So that was basically what our foundation started with in 2016. And when conference hit, did we want more results? Absolutely. But we were playing better. And that was our goal, just to keep building and getting better every year.
Yeah. I mean, it said, and to follow that up in 2017 with another winning record, said 90, you went that season. The fact is that, again, there are a couple of players I wanted to ask you about, Brianna Hakos and Yasmin, Malik. I mean, those are two players, again, it said, academically, but also, Yasmin making the all for, I think, freshman team there in the ASUN. Yeah. Can you talk about that? And another thing I want to just add to that layer is that the fact is that you talk about priding yourself defense, the amount of shutouts that you had, I think, in 2017, 18 as well. I mean, that's something that you definitely, I think focusing on quite a bit, Coach Nick.
Yeah, I think our record right now is 9 shutouts in a season, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is, any program that's really good, I think. So we set that every year that we want to be hitting the shutouts. We want to be a team that's tough to score on. And that's where I think last year we kind of went away, a little bit away from our identity of that. And we have been working to get that back and get back to where we know we can be. But like you said, those players, Yasmin's actually one that is staying for her 5th year, luckily. That year, her freshman year, she actually was playing center back. Now she's in the midfield for us. But just still, I think it goes to show not just her that year, that freshman class who are 5th years now. I think we had significant, maybe at the time there was 5 of them that were starters for us as freshmen. So we knew they needed to get the experience. Were we going to drop some games? But then you saw it as they got older, and with their experience, they know what they have to do to win games. And they're some of our biggest ones and competitors. But even also just touch on, so it's not just her, but even like Brianna Hakos, but a lot of the players, our academics, obviously at NJIT, as you know, are very stringent, right? They're difficult. And we take a lot of pride in that. So even after the year last year with difficulty of online learning, the spring, our team cum was a 3.64. So we have kids that are on team that aren't just great at soccer, but they are great academically. And our program takes pride in, we use soccer as a tool that's going to prepare them for the future. So afterwards, they're successful. They're getting great jobs. They're holding managerial positions in their jobs with great salaries. And we love it because we look at our program holistically, help them get to those steps, and get them ready for it. So I think that's where what separates us too from a lot of programs in the country is we get kids that want to do both aspects really well and do both aspects really well.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. It's a great inspiration as well to have those alumni come back and also serve as mentors and just, for the incoming, for the underclass and incoming freshmen, I'm sure as well, Coach Nick. I had to ask you as well, the facilities at NJIT, are just absolutely, phenomenal. Of course, you talk about the WEC, the Wellness and Event Center, but I have to ask you about your home field, said state of the art. I mean, it doesn't get any better, said with that digital video board there, LED lights. I mean, it just, I think the players, sense that they feel so comfortable being at Lubeck and, field at Mail Simon Stadium. Can you talk about, what it means, to play there now, I mean, during the day, but then, you have your nighttime matches as well, Coach Nick.
Yeah, I would love as a player, I would have loved to play in this environment. I think it's one of the best in the college game, especially in our region, definitely. We're excited to be able to right now have fans back because that's a huge part, that atmosphere that it creates, especially night games, like you said. It's packed, the stands. You're right in the middle of campus, the lights. So the field, we take a lot of pride in that. I think it was in 2019, we only gave up 2 goals on our home field that year.
Wow. Okay.
So I think that's how much it shows that
Yeah.
home field. We take, like, girls take a lot of pride in that, our
Yeah.
players. But just the accessibility and the resources is phenomenal. I mean, they can walk right in and out from our locker room to the training. The athletic trainers are there.
Yeah.
Study halls located in the building, our offices as coaches. So just anything, our strength and conditioning room and our coaches are phenomenal. So they're able to come out and watch practices and then go inside it with the team and be doing the lifting. So just the resources that we have, they're basically treated like professionals in this environment. So it's fun. It's fun to be around. It's fun to play in.
That's great. I don't want to forget, of course, the administration, NJIT athletic director, Lenny Kaplan, what he's meant, in terms of, resources and just, help here, said since you took over in 2016, Coach Nick.
Yeah, I can't thank and say enough about what Lenny has done for the athletic department here, and all of our administration as well, Andrew and Peg underneath of that, and all the support staff, but also Dr. Bloom from NJIT, also our president. They don't just see athletics as sports. The investment that they're putting into the programs and our student athletes is phenomenal. They want the student athletes to succeed, and that's where they're setting them up to do that. And they know that it's the experience as well. So I think that's the bigger part. They're both very accessible, Dr. Bloom and Lenny, knowing our student athletes' names, being at events. So it's just, like I said, helped create a really good environment for our student athletes to be playing, all the teams to be playing in.
Yeah, no, it's just building that winning culture, and it's great to see, everyone, as you said, just buying in, invested in this. That's just wonderful. Just have a couple more for you, Coach Nick. Again, can't thank you enough for the time. I don't want to forget, before you came to NJIT, you were an assistant coach at LaSalle University for 4 years. Your alma mater, actually, I said played there as well. Attended, said and graduated from there. You had again an outstanding run there, for 4 years. I mean, the program making the NCAA tournament, winning, 8-10, regular season and tournament titles, under head coach Paul Royal. Okay. Can you just talk about your time there at LaSalle University?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I played there, coach there, was there for a long time. So obviously had a very good experience, but I can't say enough about Paul. He was a great mentor. He's a great friend. Still bounce ideas back and forth with him because he has such good experience and has seen everything. So I think that relationship is one that I'm forever grateful for. Yeah. But just what I've also learned at LaSalle, I mean, like you said, we went to the NCAA tournament 4 years. Top 25 program, you got to see what it takes to get to that level. And that's what we're striving for. We want to be competing for conference championships here. So seeing what it takes day in and day out. The players there brought it that we coached, and still in contact with a lot of them, whether they're playing or in their careers afterwards. But I think it also showed that it's possible, and how, I went back to that, where little school like LaSalle is beating some of these bigger powerhouse schools. So I think it shows that when you have that right tactics and formula, that you can compete, and that's what we're trying to do here and build here. Yeah.
I mean, it is just remarkable, the run that, just so dominating, the team, said, I harken back to defense, and then of course, off the field, the grade point average, I think, and you were in charge of that. I mean, 8 of the 9 semesters, the girls, the women's soccer team had the highest GPA among, I think, the 23, said, I mean, that is just, amazing. I mean, can you talk about, that is not easy, to maintain.
No, it's not. And I mean, anything winning and that, it's very hard to keep things, going, like you said, and maintain. I do think Paul was a pioneer in that sense, and ahead of the times of seeing that it's not just soccer, but let's focus on all these other aspects and get kids that they want to do well in all aspects, because now it's going to become a habit. So I truly believe that, that we took a lot of pride when we were there from his direction of it. You can't just care about one thing. You got to care about everything that you're doing in your life. And that was the mentality of the players that we had. And that's what we looked for. That was a big thing too, even through the recruiting process. It wasn't just if they were a good soccer player, they had to bring other things to the table. And brought in the right kids, that they were special players. They really, really were. It's hard to find that,
Yeah.
and I think every coach is in search for that. And when you find it, that's what happens. You get programs like that.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent point you made. And I'm sure that the same thing, of course, applies here at NJIT, is that, and almost skipped over that, as well as the recruiting process as well is so key. I mean, we talk about, different sports, but it's 24/7, 365. There's never a day off, because even when a season ends, you're already thinking, said about the following season, and then, bringing in, new talent as well, Coach Nick.
Yeah, no, recruiting, I mean, never ending, especially now it's with COVID year, and we weren't able to recruit for basically 15 months. Now it's trying to get everything back in, getting players back in. But recruiting, obviously, for everybody is just so important, but especially for us because of the type of school that we are with the academics, it has to be the right fit. Because if not, they're going to struggle, and you need to be able to balance both at a very high level, because it's demanding. We want excellence on the field, we want it in the classroom, and we want it with relationships with teammates. So I'd be lying if I said it wasn't demanding, but it's definitely rewarding. And the kids that we have and the ones that want to be here, they find that balance and they want that balance. So that's big. And I think it goes to women's sport in general, not just here and not just women's soccer. I think that's what the beauty of it is they care about all aspects. We get really good kids in the classroom. And what people don't see behind doors is the internships that they're doing, the community service that they're doing in around the area. So they're doing a lot of impactful work. So it's not just that they're caring about sports, they're making a difference in the world. And that's why I love being in college athletics, because of that.
Yeah, that's great. It's good to see them paying it forward, with that type of work, especially with the internships and community service. I was looking at some of the stats when they're at LaSalle. I mean, the fact that I think they had an 18-game unbeaten streak, and again, the defense was just superb, in goals against average, but also as a player. And this has got to be a full circle moment for you, because I think when you were at LaSalle, you played NJIT and actually scored a couple of goals. So I had to ask you about that, what that feels like, as you said, to, have that, again, here you are now ended up as the head coach at NJIT here, Coach Nick.
Yeah, it's funny when we did. I mean, even some of the alums actually were on the team when we played.
Okay.
So it's funny joking around about that part of it. Yeah. But even just what they've built, I mean, obviously playing against it, we see where the program was, and even just the work that they've put in. So building it off of where, like I said, the program was before at NJIT, and even when I played them when I was at LaSalle, and to get here. So like you even went with the unbeaten streak, obviously we took a lot of defensive pride, but that's just who I am. So coming in, I think as a coach, you can't change who you are because you have to take ownership. So that's why we are, like we said, having a lot of pride in that. And it starts with, we have our all-conference goalkeeper, Molly Saylor, who's back, Siani Magruder, who's back. And they're kind of the anchors from it. In the past, we had Emily Heckman and Jessa Singh, who were staples. So I think you need kids like that take a lot of pride and get that team rallying behind. And that's what Siani and Molly are. So we're really fortunate. And now being their senior year, I think a lot of the team, the whole team, we're going to be playing for those seniors,
I was just with LaSalle that as a player, you were not only able to, again, do it on the field. And what was so impressive was, I think, your durability, the amount of games that you were able to start and play in. But then, just the number of academic honors you were able to, again, rack up, and just be able to, make academic all teams and an honor roll. What did that mean to you personally? You talked about the balancing act, here on the, said now as a coach, you see it with the players, but when you played, you were able to do that. What did that mean to you, Coach Nick?
I think growing up, it was always instilled in me from my parents. So I have to give them a lot of credit that it was from them. It was the balance. I had no choice to do well in school, or else probably soccer was going to be taken away. So I think that's just how I was driven as a person, and seeing both sides of it, the academic side and the playing side. I'm a competitor. So even in the classroom and on the field, I want to be the best.
Yeah.
It doesn't change now. I still jump in and play with the team, so I think it's a passion. You never
Yeah.
lose it, and I
Yeah.
think once you do lose it, then probably time to change careers, to be honest with you, because I think the student athletes deserve it. They
Yeah.
deserve seeing it. You're going to get more out of them, and that inspiration. My coaches, when I was in college, you saw the passion of how much they loved it. And I think it obviously played into me of I wanted to be around it. And I just hope that even I can STEM, obviously a lot of ours are going to be young professionals and very successful, but that in some capacity, some of them can stay in the game, and pass it forward that way.
Hey, from Washington Township, New Jersey. Don't want to forget about your roots. Said attending there again. You were able to have so much success on the soccer field. Can you talk about your time there as well? In high school.
Yeah, I mean, I loved my high school experience. I'm a big believer in high school soccer in that sense because I think it gives you that community feel.
Yeah.
So even just the team there is very supportive. The programs. Even now too, the Katie Sachs, who's the coach, has done a great job with the girls soccer program there.
Mhm.
And I actually, small world, I have to give a shout out. My brother-in-law is actually the boys coach, and he is he's going to kill me, but a 2 or 3 time state champion of New Jersey.
Okay. That's
so he's the boys coach on that side.
Yeah.
So it's even nice bouncing ideas back and forth with him, but it's great seeing both of the successes of both the girls and boys programs there continue to grow. So it's fun staying on top. But we actually have on our team at NJIT, we have a lot of South Jersey kids.
Okay.
So even rival schools, it's the big joke of we have like the Shawnees, the Cherokees, we're rivals of Washington Township. And we have a lot of girls here that are from that. And I think because they play with that chip on their shoulder,
Yeah.
And I think it's fun, competitive rivalry. Even still, we joke around when Township plays either Shawnee, we're still have that competitive, and all of us are not even playing.
Yeah.
So definitely that tradition and rivalry is still there. So it's fun, like I said, recruiting and going back and getting kids from that area big time.
Yeah.
They do well for us here.
I don't want to forget also that you're involved, as well with the United States Soccer Federation. I think, the U14 youth national team. I don't forget about that. And then there's the Region 1 Olympic Development Program in Brick, New Jersey. I mean, that's important as well. I mean, just as far as the development of, women's soccer. Can you talk about that? That's huge, I think, again, for, driving up the popularity of the game as well, Coach Nick.
Yeah, absolutely. So the past couple of years, the landscape has shifted of how they're running everything.
Okay.
So I haven't been as involved the past couple, but when I was involved with it, it's definitely huge for the youth. Like you said, I can't say it enough of just the development of training in those environments, competing and getting players' names out there so they have that experience. And obviously with the Olympics just happening, I mean, the women's team still walking away with the bronze, but past World Cup winners, I think it's good. And it's great. It's being televised and being marketed because they need to see that. So even when working with the Region 1 teams, the U14 youth, they're looking up to those players. They're looking up to our college players, so I think we have to get in front of them. They need to be seeing that and being inspired. So I loved being around that program because you can develop them. They're so young and impressionable in that sense that they have that future ahead of them to be playing. And even now when I started it and seeing some of them now are in college, getting called into youth national camp still. And it's great to see their progress of them still developing over these years. So it says a lot about the game. And the system too of working and trying to find those next level players that are going to compete for our country. Yeah,
I mean, and I don't want to forget also Gotham FC. I mean, it's great to have like right here in New Jersey a team, playing at, of course, a Red Bull Arena, and then I was club soccer as well. Talk about your involvement there, South Jersey Elite, Barons Club, and then the Penn Fusion Soccer Academy as well, Coach Nick.
Yeah, previously it was when I was at LaSalle more, so that's when I was a club coach.
Okay.
So I loved the youth, training them, playing their games. I think that involvement, same thing, you're developing them. You get to see where they take those next steps, how they can improve as a player. So it was definitely fun. And now being here, you can still see that going out to their training sessions for clubs, and now all different ones in the youth game. So definitely just seeing how important it is for the youth and the club to be that commitment to be developing players is really big for our game.
Yeah, no, it's true. I just have the last three I have is first is when you were growing up. I was wondering, was it just mainly soccer? If there were any other sports that you played as well, Coach Nick?
I mean, when I was really young, it was everything.
Yeah. Okay.
But then like a little bit of basketball until I was not the best, and I'm only 5'2", so that probably wasn't the best route to keep going. But then in high school, I was big into lacrosse also, actually.
Okay.
So the women's lacrosse game just really started taking off when I was in high school.
Okay.
Well, probably not even taking off yet. It was just there. And I actually followed my sister's footsteps. She played, and I was like, it looks fun. So I picked up a stick my freshman year and got really into it. So it was definitely a change of pace. It was nice because it gave me a little bit of a balance.
That's great. I was just wondering, when it comes to women's soccer, and then, what makes it so special? I mean, what made it so special? Of course, to play the game, I said, but also to coach it now as well. I mean, I had to ask about that, Coach Nick.
I mean, I think I love the game. I love the tactics of it. And I love how every scenario and situation is different. It's a beautiful game. It's one of the hardest to play, and the technical side of it, of what special players can do and how every player can be different, but somehow you can come together and work and put 11 players on the field that are working towards the same goal and cohesiveness. So I think that's amazing to watch. And that's why I love the sport in general. But then even just on this level of it too, of why I love just the relationships too that it takes to build. We're not obviously an individual sport. It's not like it can be just one. Yes, you can have a standout player, but it's not like other sports where that can completely change and you can just ride that one player, or individual sports. It takes those relationships to build, excuse me, for a team to be successful. So it's amazing. I love watching it. I think why growing up was the 99ers with Mia Hamm era was very big inspiration for me. So when people talk about having to have more accessibility for women's sports on TV, I'm one of the biggest supporters of that, because I grew up watching it, and that inspired definitely me when you see that, to keep going, even if it's at that next level of, I wanted to play Division I because of watching them. So for me, it was definitely the players that I saw growing up were a big influence in me continuing. And even my sisters, watching them play, going to their games, my parents dragging me and my brother along, definitely just being around the game is really big.
That's a great transition you just made, is the family. I know you talked about your parents, said, I want to ask you, of course, about your husband, Charlie, just, your daughter as well, Kennedy, just the support you've received from your family during this soccer journey, Coach Nick.
I mean, I can't thank my husband enough. So now I have two daughters.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, Kennedy is 3.5 and my other one's 5 months old. Girl. So he's been a rock star dad, holding down the fort while we're in preseason and pulling 12-hour days here. So, but he actually played professionally. He's a soccer guy too, so he gets it. So I think that's huge, having that support at home for all coaches is really important, because he gets it. The season's a grind. Like I said, we're on the road, we're in here long hours, but it's definitely worth it. And he gets it. Likes to be around, try and get my daughter, the older one, around as much as possible too, because the girls are big role models. I mean, she talks about the soccer girls all the time. So I think she wants to be, it's good role models for them. So I'm very excited as they continue to grow, just being around. I mean, if my daughters end up like the girls I'm coaching here at NJIT, then I would be beyond proud, because these are good kids that we have here.
That is fantastic. I'm so happy for you. Final question is that, and I think, again, you're in a perfect spot, to offer this advice for younger players, also for women who want to get into the coaching ranks. And, said, want to end up, I said where you are at one day, coaching NJIT women's soccer, what, your message is to them, Coach Nick?
Guess just my message is that you can do anything that you want to set your mind to. I know that's kind of cliche, but we really believe that here in our program. What you want, we can get. It's just going to be, are you willing to put the work in that's going to get you there? So for us, that's what we base it off, everything that we do. And like I said, passionate, giving that effort all the time, on the field, off the field, and making a difference in everything that they're doing, every relationship that they're impacting. So that message, definitely, we talk to our incoming recruits about when the players are here, we talk to them about it as well. Because we want to give that support to help. I know what it's like being a female in the coaching world. It's definitely has its challenges, but it's so rewarding, and I think that's what you have to look at instead. So all these professions, these girls, just how rewarding it is when you put that work in on something that you're truly passionate about.
Yeah, no, well said. Okay, Coach Nick, the floor is yours. If there's anything I left out here, you're more than welcome to add.
I think you covered everything. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Absolutely a true honor and privilege, interviewing you, and again, wishing you and the rest of the coaching staff and the team all the best in the 2021 regular season and also in the America East Conference.
Thank you very much. We're excited for this year. Looking for a good run. I appreciate it.
Thank you.